So good morning, distinguished presenters, panelists, faculty, partners, and guests. Welcome to the session, Better Governance for Economic Recovery, Enhancing Public Policy Through Institution Building and Effective Legislation in the 59th Philippine Economic Society Conference, sponsored of course by the Ateneo Policy Center of the Ateneo School of Government.
At the Ateneo Policy Center, we are committed to support political, economic, and social reforms through evidence-based research policy and policy discussions like today's event.
Conglomerates can help accelerate employment and disperse prosperity to a greater number of Filipinos by sourcing more inputs domestically, thereby strengthening the domestic supply chain. Moreover, there is an opportunity for them to adopt and expand programs that increase their connectivity with small enterprises, which will generate more income and employment to the labor-intensive MSME sector.
What countries like the Philippines really need to do is to rethink the development model. Look, much of what happens, not only in the Philippines, but in many other developing countries, is definitely determined by a small group of dominant firms in each sector. Unless the large companies drive the development process, because they're the only ones that can operate under increasing returns to scale and undertake R&D, development will never happen.
Based on actual customs data, the technical working group has developed a set of governance tools termed as VOC SoG Governance Tool Suite. The VOC revenue forecasting model is built upon the scenarios of GDP growth using a marginal propensity to import estimates.
Fortunately, institutions like the Ateneo School of Government is there to help. With their help, the Bureau now has the governance tool suite to adequately forecast revenue, compare the valuation and taxation vis-a-vis the benchmarks, and flag transactions that exceed these thresholds.
There is an opportunity for us to recoup these benefits to fund other transportation systems in and out of Metro Manila. And we propose to do this through our land value tax.
This is what we found out. Okay, for the three stations, Ayala, Boni, and Cubao, we can raise 1.28 billion on the first year. And what's interesting is that when you do a 10-year forecast horizon, using the compounded annual growth rates of the market value of these values, you can get total collection of 16.8 billion pesos.
I am very much in agreement that even before the pandemic, mass transportation systems around the world need some form of government funding to subsidize either their construction or operations, and sometimes both. Given some of the huge reductions in ridership we've seen since early 2000, we do now also need to think even harder about innovative means to finance transit projects that will help build our economies back in a more sustainable way.
On whether the proposed LVT satisfies the constitutional requirement that tax legislation should be uniform may also be brought up. Why not include other properties whose value appreciated by reason also of the other infrastructure put up by the national government?
I think the big word in today's discussion is the development prospects continues being the development prospects of the Philippines, not just in the short term, but in the medium to long term. Development is a long-term process. So I think it will be very, very, very important to keep this in mind moving forward, not just getting out of the pandemic, but also as a solid economic agenda for the next administration. Is this question of either we completely change the productive structure of the economy or we will not move forward.
Nice to see everyone looking so dashing today. That concludes today's session. Better governance for economic recovery, enhancing public policy through institution building and effective legislation in the 59th Philippine Economic Society Conference, of course sponsored by the Ateneo Policy Center of the Ateneo School of Government.